Everything was just starting to seem like, well, it might be running okay with the 540. Until it started doing this. Take a listen. Yep, the starter's hanging up now. Last thing I want is for that thing to not shoot the Bendix out and actually start the car. If it's hanging up, it means it might not come out. I guess Project Black Pearl isn't quite done yet. Okay, so we got the car up in the air. First thing we need to do is we need to disconnect the negative terminal. I've done that already. And then from underneath, it's really not all that difficult. Now, obviously, if you're laying on your back in your driveway, it's gonna be much harder than what you see here, but let me give you the gist. This heat shield here is gonna need to come undone. We've got 2/8 here on the front, and then on the back, 2/8 looking up behind it. That's gonna give us just enough wiggle room to get the actual starter out. The repair instructions say to pull this Precat O2 sensor, but that's not really necessary. You can get to the 2 E12s if you use a swivel and a super long extension. It's totally doable. On the front side, you've got a 13mm nut holding your power lug on, and then you have a connector that runs down to the bottom of the oil pan that you can disconnect without even having to pull your splash panel. So I'm gonna go ahead and start with that. I'm gonna rotate the connector out and disconnect this guy. Looks like that was the final rotation for this connector. And the little clip broke, bummer. In full disclosure, this isn't the first time I've taken the starter out of this car. I've had this noise for a little while now. I took it out once before. I cleaned and lubed the internals. The noise went away for about 3 starts, and then it came back, which tells me it's at the end of its lifespan. All the little magnets inside were cracked, and I tried to fit everything back together. Didn't seem to work. I'm gonna pop all these 8s. You could also pop your harness out of these connectors to give it a little bit more wiggle room. I didn't find that that was necessary. You do want to get all of this before you loosen the starter because it's kind of heavy, trying to fall down in your face. Now we'll take the 13 off of the power lug. I got this guy pretty tight last time. Plus I'm using a stubby little wrench, a ratchet. Now we got to go up to the top with our long extension. I'm going to loosen them and then spin them out with a gun. I'm going to take it out first since the starter's already coming loose. Typically the starter's going to be pretty jammed in there because it's open to the bell housing, and if you have a clutch, especially if you have a clutch, there's all sorts of dust and debris floating around in there that's going to jam it up. If your car's as old as, well, it's going to be as old as mine, but if it has a lot of miles and it's had a lot of leaks, specifically your upper valley pan leak, which happens to leak down through the bell housing, there's probably going to be coolant in there. Mine was pretty disgusting. I ran it, when I took it all apart, I ran it through the ultrasonic cleaner, got it looking really nice. Moreover, what I'm trying to say is if it is super clean like mine is now, it's going to fall out when you take the bolts out. If it's dirty, you're going to have to wiggle it to get it out. Now for the second bolt, I'm just going to grab onto the starter so it can't fall. Hopefully you can see because I'm going to be flying a little bit more blind here. Cables out of the way. There we go. I'm going to slide this guy back. Get my hand out. Kind of tilt it up while we're playing with this heat shield. There we go. Now it'll just fall out the bottom if you can get it to rotate the right direction. There we go. Easily peasily. Now we need to get our heat shield off. Got a couple of 10s. Flip it over, get this one. Slides off the back. And then our connector comes off as well. You can pop that guy out to the side. Now, looking at these, they look to be virtually identical. Mine is missing a bushing on the front, whereas this one has the bushing. So it's a little bit, it's kind of a flimsy stop right there compared to this one. Everything looks about the same inside. The one-way clutch is a little sticky. This one is much smoother. Overall, should go in. It's got me wondering if I should take it apart and lube it, but I think I'll just install it as is. Now this guy can go on. Let's see how it fits the bent post. It still goes on. Mostly. This doesn't look very lined up. That did the job. Maybe. I guess it tore that a little bit, but it's still going to provide the heat protection. Guess I have to install it the right direction. You know, if I could stand right there where the camera is, you'll be able to see a lot better. Oh boy. It's always a good idea to try to do this by hand and then tighten it down by hand. That way, if you run into any snags as it's going together, instead of breaking the ear off of the transmission or breaking it off of the starter, catch that. Now, I'm not exactly sure how much room you'd have with an automatic, but I would presume it's going to be similar here. It's been a long time since I worked on one of these with an automatic in it. Never had to replace a starter when I worked at the dealer. Those were too new. I never had the privilege to work for an independent. I'm going to run our power wire back up. Get our heat shield back in place. Okay, put your 4 screws back in your heat shield. Double check that all of your power wires are back in line and plug in the other end. Then plug your battery in and let's give this guy a test start. Let's see how we did. That's a different sounding starter. I felt like it started really fast, or it spun really fast. I kind of want to try that again. Okay. Well, I guess time will tell, see how long this guy lasts. The starter's been working out great for the past 6 weeks. I haven't had any issues with either cranking time, cranking speed, or any of the starting issues before. Really what I was dealing with before was the Bendix was hanging up, and when I took it apart, it was pretty well worn. Even after cleaning, lubing, and putting it back together, it started to hang up and zing like that within about a week. So needless to say, I'm pretty happy with the purchase. I've purchased a bunch of different A-premium parts off of Amazon at this point, and so far they've all worked out pretty well. The only parts that I've purchased kind of dark aftermarket or cheap aftermarket, Chinesium, whatever you want to call it, were from eBay. Those ones didn't work out. There's a whole video about that on my X5. That's besides the point. So for now, I don't have anything to cross off the list for this one because this was an unexpected repair. Not that you expect most repairs. So we'll add up our total cost from here forward. I did replace the oil cap at the same time as the starter and my gas cap. The gas cap was getting sticky and didn't quite lock right. The oil cap, I wound up drilling a hole in it and mounting a nipple so that I could get crankcase pressures with my manometer as part of a diagnostic procedure. So I replaced it with an M oil cap off of an E46. They work just fine on this engine. Those 3 parts were $144.97, bringing the total cost on this project to $11,205.09. Yeah, every time I say these numbers, I die a little inside too. But the car runs great, looks great, and is a blast to own. So, hope you're enjoying this series. I've got a bunch more to do still, and I will see you in the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know what you think. You know all those things. Thank you.